Negotiation. The contemporary complexity of the society from a social, economic, and political point of view, as well as the development of new types of businesses among economic agents, outlines negotiation as one of the most precious components of contemporary life. Against this background, negotiations are involved in solving problems of any nature that derive from the real need for the continuous growth of human relations, in general of economic and diplomatic relations. I'm gonna give you some questions that you will need to answer for yourself that will help you get some insight and have a general idea on what you're about to negotiate. How do we negotiate? Can we divide our interest options and criteria? Can we understand the positive and negative implications of the changes that would occur by modifying these elements that define the problem? Can we formulate the most favorable alternative and acceptable minimum alternative? What are the ways we can solve the problem? Which one is the most effective way to solve the problem? Which one is the way that would cause the biggest loss? Who do we negotiate with? Who is competent to solve the problem? To what extent can the other party decide on the issue in question? What is the ratio of forces of the other party? What could be the barriers that would prevent the representative from negotiating? What factors would facilitate the decision to negotiate? What is the relationship with the other party? How do we set up communication? Who could be appointed to negotiate? What are the interest, options, and criteria of the other party? Where do we negotiate? On neutral ground, on the territory of one of the parties. Some negotiations begin or even take place on the phone or other means of communication, including virtual ones. When do we negotiate? Is our problem also the other party's problem? Do we negotiate now or when the other party will be interested? Has there been an agreement between the parties on the date of the negotiation? Did we have enough time to negotiate? What events could disturb the negotiation? To achieve middle ground, you must have a term of comparison. You need to have some values already obtained from calculations which indicate where you are going in the negotiation for which you are preparing. I'm gonna give you some of the best alternative for a negotiation agreement, or BATNA for short. There are always alternatives to any negotiation agreement. Alternatives are at your disposal outside the negotiation table. Make a list of your alternatives and choose the best one. Try to find out what their alternatives are, identify the best one of theirs. Negotiate for the best BATNA on both sides. Interests are fears, desires, worries, hopes, and expectations. These are behind any other party's negotiator. Listen carefully to identify theirs. Be creative and build options that respond to these interests. Invoke international or national standards that can be used as persuasion. Listen and look. Express yourself as clearly as possible. Respect cultural differences and protocol. Maintain a relationship with the other party. You can use a resource like white money for black days. It is a very important element in negotiation. You can also use the world is small. Reputation and future relationships are important, but do not compromise your interests just to keep the relationship. The moments of negotiation divide into 3 steps. Preparation. Know who you're dealing with. Know your best alternatives. Think about the options, but do not stick to any in particular. Negotiation itself. Confirm the authority to negotiate. You agree on the subject of the negotiation. Concentrate on the interests behind the positions declared by the other party. Invent options so that both sides are winning. Try to get everything in writing. Follow up. Create the link between the result obtained and your institution, report, and put into practice. Honor any commitments made. Inform and evaluate the result. Continue to build a relationship with the other party. The principle of reciprocal advantage, or win-win, does not, however, exclude that the benefits obtained by one party are greater or lesser than the advantages obtained by the other party in the negotiations. According to this principle, the agreement is good when all negotiating parties have something to gain and nothing to lose. Everyone can win without nobody being defeated. Importantly, when all parties win, they all support the chosen solution and respect the agreement. The principle of reciprocity is the reciprocity of concessions, objections, threats, and reprisals. The principle can be found in expressions such as I give you if you give, I do if you do, I give so you give, I do so you do. If you compromise, so will I. If I raise demands, I will raise some myself, etc. Now I'm gonna tell you some negotiation techniques. Some of them are as follows. The yes, but technique. A tactic that makes us more agreeable for the negotiating partner. It costs nothing. People hate being denied, challenged, or even contradicted. No is a direct and definitive negation that cuts and breaks and hits. It presents the risks of offending the partner and blocking the discussion. Forms such as yes, but can be used in the sense of negation, retaining two other options. It has three possible nuances: yes, maybe, and no. Whenever you can continue on the desired option, the secret of yes, but is that it allows the formulations of your own opinion as continuation of what the partner said and not as a direct contradiction of his opinion. Yes, but I think we should do it like this. The false offer tactic, a bargaining trick with a little theater. Negotiating the price is always a zero-sum game in which one cannot win without the other losing. As far as possible, opponents manipulate each other even to the limit of loyalty and morality. One of the somewhat unfair tactics rarely encountered in manuals and often in practice is the seller's makes an attractive bid to the buyer to eliminate the competition and motivate him to conduct the transaction. When this has been achieved, he finds a reason to modify his initial offer. Then begins the bargaining that convinces the buyer to accept the new offer, usually much more moderate. As much as possible, the buyer is in a situation where he does not have much of a choice. Tactics of stress and exhaustion. It counts on weakening the opponent's physical and psychological resistance. As an exception and as rare as possible, when negotiating with a difficult, unprincipled, and disagreeable adversary, willing to engage unnecessarily in tough and prolonged negotiation, it is recommended to use some tricks and tactics of stress and exhaustion. Tactics of time pressure. This tactic is based on the simple idea that there is always a negotiation agenda for the negotiators. These elements can be organized and manipulated that the delicate problems remain at the expiration of the time allocated to the negotiation process. For this purpose, any subterfuge and maneuvers to postpone or delay can be used. By the end of the negotiation, things usually begin to precipitate. For example, one of the discussion partners must catch the plane or the train. In such conditions, the pace of the negotiation must be hurried and the opponent can easily make mistakes. Salami slice tactic, also called the small steps technique. It is based on the simple idea that it's easier to get a salami slice by slice than all at once. When we ask for too much too fast, the opponent can be overwhelmed for the moment and tends to resist. He will also find it much easier to respond with a refusal. It becomes increasingly difficult for him to continue playing under pressure. On the other hand, by gaining repeated partial benefits with greater time and patience, it can be easier to achieve total victory in the end. Small successes can go unnoticed, but you can accumulate more small successes to strengthen your position and achieve great results. Tactics of alternate negotiators. When the partner changes the negotiator, you have to take it all over again. The first version of this tactic makes the head of the negotiating team look really gentle and reasonable, but utterly helpless in the face of the pressure made by the team's specialists. Deliberately and thoroughly premeditated and simulated, the rest of the team is tough, stubborn, and seemingly irresponsible. Throughout the negotiation process, engineers, mixologists, lawyers, accountants, etc. are introduced, which shows a tough and intransigent position. In this way, they create a psychological pressure to which the partner prefers to work only with the team leader and accept his more reasonable proposals. He does not quite agree with his teammates, but he cannot go too far over their heads. Tactics of alternate negotiators. Effective change of the negotiator. Thus, during the negotiations, just when you expected the less, the adversary replaces the negotiator. It can be a hard shot, which is difficult to deal with, because it is less pleasant to take everything from the beginning. The new negotiator has the possibility to invoke new arguments, to revoke some of the agreements already made, or even to withdraw some of the concessions granted by his predecessor. The new negotiator is, as a rule, the top man who takes you away when his predecessor has already exhausted you. Still, you do not have to lose yourself. It is good not to get tired of repeating old arguments and change your attitude if your partner does it. In diplomacy, tactics deliver excellent results. A true negotiator is a good listener, capable of separating people from problems, capable of leaving aside and overcoming prejudice, capable of searching solutions in an ample context, imaginative in building solutions, ready to spend time on the negotiation process, respectful of any person accepted by both parties to facilitate or mediate the process, motivated by a mutually accepted result, capable of seeking ways to move beyond declared positions, communicates well with their own institution and is able to explain to their team the resulting solutions.